Ajay.
Mm-hmm.
So this doubt
Mm-hmm.
that I was talking about with regards with the fear.
Mm-hmm.
So doubt is like, doubting myself is like kind of the one of my biggest,
Mm-hmm.
is like, for lack of a better way of saying it, one of my biggest problems. So, like, how can I, like, one of the things, what happened, like, in that situation was that, like, when I acted, like, I totally followed, like, I had no doubt in what I was doing, like, no doubt. It was just like, this, no doubt, right? So then that's something that I can watch the doubt for. Like afterwards, the doubt with the fear, okay. But then so that, I know this sounds really confusing and convoluted, but I think what came up as a result of telling you that about the doubt thing is that then I was like, but then doubt is such an issue for me in the first place. So that's how I can know though, is like that I can go back and see that it was so doubtless.
Yeah. So maybe like, doubt is not the issue. Issue is you don't go with doubt like as much as you need to see clearly.
Okay.
And then, you act upon without seeing clearly. Like doubt is a really good tool,
Okay.
really to see if I'm able to, if I can walk this or not.
Okay.
Like really assessing your abilities,
Mm-hmm.
assessing the way that I can go through.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe doubt is not the problem, but not really entertaining doubt as much as it needs to come to clarity.
Okay. So using that situation as an example,
Mm-hmm.
I should have used some doubt.
Doubt was there,
There was like a little bit of doubt at one point.
Yeah. So then,
Then that would have been my,
yeah,
use that doubt to assess,
to assess and to see.
to see.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it's there, then go, okay, okay. Huh. Got it. So becoming very attuned to that doubt, then sensitive to that.
Yeah, sensitive.
Yeah.
Because doubt many times is very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Many times is only for the doubt,
Yeah.
like doubt has both sides. Many times it's really, really helpful. And many times it's really, really kind of pulling your legs behind. So really to be clear about doubt, if it is only pulling my legs,
Yeah.
or there is something to,
Okay.
to improve.
Okay.
there's this passage in the book, and I think it comes from some song or for the
Whatever.
Armada,
Yeah.
and it says, "The sages on the river, on your riverbank say you were twice born, once from penance, once from love."
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So twice, like the in tradition in India, it's like you are born. So of course you are born through the womb of your mother, and then there comes a time that you really have love to seek who you are, and then you really find a teacher, and out of that love to teacher, you give birth to yourself again. Like there was somebody without that love to seek the truth, and now it's somebody with love to seek the truth. So that they say is like second birth you give to yourself. So that's how it's like twice born. Yeah.
And where is the penance part?
Where is the penance?
Penance, it says.
Penance is the
Yeah, I don't know if it's, like you,
yeah, because then when you fall in love, you really have to go that way. Like even in in our daily life, when we fall in love, say with one person, even then we have to compromise, like something you have to change, make changes in your life. So there also, like when you really fall in love with the truth, then many things will change in your life, and maybe many of your likings you have to let go.
so
So
that's
that is kind of penance.
sacrifice,
Yeah.
something like that. But you also talked about just a moment ago there how you're born, then you decide, you find a teacher, you give that teacher love.
Yeah, out of love, like somehow lovingness happens, like you really see some possibility through this meeting, through this, being together.
And so then you're reborn again.
Yeah, then that's what it says, twice born, only
So
twice born people can really go for it.
Yesterday you mentioned in passing about getting to the point where you become the driver of your own, the driver of your life, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is that point realization, or is that a point like on the way to realization?
No, it's like it's even after realization, like that clarity, because in realization also there are so many things which is kind of like unknown, which are like things are unknown, and also things are unknowable. So when unknown things are recognized, so then you become driver of your life. It's after realization,
Okay.
and then when you fulfill your possibility of unknown to be known. There are
Okay.
things unknown and also things which knowledge cannot keep within, which knowledge cannot recognize. So those we have to, be the way they are. But then what is unknown and possibility of knowing is there, when all that is acknowledged, then of course you are driver of your life.
So the things that are unknowable, but you associate with them in some way, or?
Really, like just because they anyway are associated with you,
Mm.
you don't have to associate with them.
Mm.
They somehow really, it's their love that they keep on associating with us, even when we do mischiefs, even when we do like so many things against that. Still, the love is so vast, so we don't have to really, they themselves are happy to be attached to us.
So if there are things that are unknowable, does it imply that there's like a next level of some sort? Like a next level where those become knowable, or is it just the nature?
No, like
of
the tools, I think like what, if we really like, like all of us, like many of us for many, many years, really try and want to know, then maybe nature can put in us like another sense,
Mm.
an extra sense, and then maybe, possibility to know something.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how that can be. Like so far, the senses we have, the ability to know we have, from this is not possible.
But we're talking after realization, right?
Yeah, this is all after
Yeah.
realization.
And
Yeah, yeah, please.
so if there are things that someone becomes realized,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are things that are unknown but knowable,
Mm-hmm.
does that imply like levels to realization, or is it more like just getting to know
Just
the terrain?
kind of like, you learn driving car,
Hmm.
but becoming expert we can call.
Hmm.
Yeah, like one who learned driving car also can drive, but maybe, very carefully, and when one gets very expert, that is like, maybe same way, something.
So can a realized person make a mistake?
Possible, yes.
When he's driving his car.
No, like, because it's like so many things, they are unknown,
Yeah.
So then of course, mistakes are possible.
What could be made at that level, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you went in, as it were, the practical life.
Also in the practical life.
Yeah. But, sorry for you.
No, go ahead.
If you can say like there's the known, the unknown, and then the unknowable,
Mm-hmm.
I realise one can maybe begin to, or get a knowledge of what was formerly unknown, but still there can be things that are, and would always be ultimately unknowable. The only one I can think of right now is why there is something rather than nothing.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
is that possible to be known by anybody, realised or not,
That why there is something,
rather than nothing?
nothing. Yes, at least I don't know.
No, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you define for me what is realization or what it is to be realized?
That what is to be realized is yourself, that and realization is the process through which you realize yourself.
I don't think I really understand. I don't
Yeah,
think I really
certainly, but it's probably it can only be experienced, not understood. Maybe understanding follows after realization, some kind of.
So just the very fact that I have to ask the question means I don't know. I'm not there yet.
No, because this is how by by making even learn to walk happens by making mistakes, and this we are kind of trying to learn to walk in the sky. So you can feel how many times we have to make mistakes for that. Even to walk on the earth, many times we fail. Many times we hurt our knees. Many times mother has been angry at us because of trying to learn. So even this walking on the earth going through that. And here we are trying to walk where there is no earth under. So of course, all that process will be.
So my idea
Mhm.
of realization
Mhm.
was like basically of oneness with truth.
Yeah.
So
But you go through oneness, you cannot fall in oneness without including you.
mm,
So it goes through, first you recognize you, and then you see, my hands are not up to here, they really, not the body hands,
mhm.
my connection is not only to myself, somehow I am extended, and when you fall in that extension, then you recognize that yes, you are whole somehow, or other way, whole is you.
So is like, to use the word God,
Mhm.
like is the whole is God?
In a way, yes, only God can be whole,
Mm.
but then there are, different, smaller gods for, for a cult, for,
Mm.
that is also there.
Well, those are like energy fields within.
Energy.
But if a realized person is one with God,
Mhm.
and a realized person can make a mistake, is that implying that God can make a mistake?
I think God is, like if you talk of mistakes, God is making mistakes, Like, somebody is being born, like with not really fully, healthy. Like so many things, which God is ready to take blame.
Well, there goes my idea of realization.
So if God is ready to take blame for this,
Mm.
is God also saying, I'm working on it, I'm trying to improve, or what?
Maybe, it's not saying anything, just accepting the way things are.
Well, what is God doing then?
Hmm?
What is God doing then?
I think it's just, sleeping all the time.
Sleeping.
It looks like to me,
Are you inclined to wake him up?
It's difficult, because, when I go in that space, I also sleep.
Oh.
Is there a way, Ajay, to recognize teacher who are realized? Like, for example, in Tiro, when all these satsang teachers are being satsang around, is there anything which can guide me to recognize someone who is realized or not?
Like if you're really looking into your heart, heart can really, not the heart like through which you have your priorities to choose,
Mm-hmm.
not that heart. But if you really go to beyond that heart, it's possible to recognize.
If you go beyond which heart,
Like there is a heart in us which is really to choose for me, my heart. And if I'm using not my heart, but the heart.
And that's not really the critical faculty.
It's not critical, it's not like from the critical faculty. It's really, you really see how things are.
Or how that person affects.
Yeah, also like because it's, in eyes, like, you cannot lie through the, like if you are able to see the eyes, you will catch me when I am lying, because my eyes cannot lie. Similarly, that heart cannot lie. So if you have this ability to catch me from there, I'm kind of like naked, in front of you.
Because I have met some teachers which were quite incredible at first, quite impressive or inspiring, maybe not inspiring, but yeah, impressive. But with time, then somehow my mind found something wrong about them. So then I'm not sure what to listen anymore.
So at least you can listen yourself.
Well, the mind can be quite loud sometimes.
Certainly. But then,
And being quite judgmental and.
yeah, of course, but then, because like when you joined them, it was not only the mind.
No.
So really ask, also that, which was involved when you joined.
It nearly seems that I have a different perception now than I used to then.
Yeah. So just believe your perception. Yeah, maybe you evolved
Maybe.
and now you see things differently than before.
Some of these people, as Sandra is saying, they do seem often to be very highly developed spiritually, I mean. But then when we talked about it, you've sometimes said things like, well, I won't say, for some reason, that you said, no, he's not quite got there. Well, she has not, they're not quite there. They're not quite there, but they think they are. So would it be true to say it's actually very easy to fool oneself if one's has gone a long way?
Yeah, also. Yeah. Because it's like generally, so I just come in 2 minutes. Because what happens, like, that people are in kind of hurry, they really don't want to give enough time. And there are many experiences which you can call, you realize, you have realized, and then of course then, so that possibility is there.
There's one thing I'm wondering, can a realized teacher always see where the student is at? Or not necessarily?
No, yes.
Okay.
What was the answer to that? That was no, yes.
Because she said, and then said no, yes means yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes. Okay.
She can understand.
Okay.
I said yes.
Because that's one thing which quite amazed me when a teacher is telling me something which, I don't know, yeah, that was useful like 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, but so I'm quite surprised when these kind of things come up, so maybe I can use that as a reference point.
It's better to use like your heart instead of any, any talks, any. So there will be like really good acknowledgement.
I have lots of things that I'm interested in and I like doing, and so seeking the truth is one of them, but it's not the whole of it. For instance, I really like writing. I like literature. I like nature. I like sports. A lot of people like cooking. So many things. So it's not to the exclusion. I'm not focused exclusively on on realizing or on seeking what's really true. That's often there, but not always. When I'm coasting, when things are going quite well, no, it doesn't matter. I like certain things, so sometimes I think I don't have this. My energy isn't bundled enough only for this truth. There are so many other things that I don't know if they distract me. They're just very much what I like. They're just very much what makes me alive. And in many ways, what makes me alive is my spiritual quest. So to be with what, because I can only do that in the body.
Yeah, so I think whatever you described, is really part of life. Like even your quest is so strong, still you need to eat good food. Still sometimes you need to read good books. So I think none of which you describe is a hindrance in your quest.
Right. And I hear often people have this burning desire for truth. And I have a desire for truth, but I also find that confronting it directly, there is a threshold, there's a little something that needs to be overcome. It's not like I can rush to it. There's a little bit of a hesitation, just a moment of hesitation, because I think, and that's there. I can see it.
Yeah, certainly. So, what I see, it's like, when baby is born, you cannot make baby 60 years old.
No.
You really have to give 60 years for baby to be 60 years old. So similarly, this is like a growth in consciousness, and that takes time. As much as need is there. It's not like a mental phenomena. So I think you are very, very careful and right where you are. You are really giving time it. And maybe some point this what they call burning desire, that might also happen. We never know. So far it's not, but so far it's like slowly growing.
It's steady.
Yeah, steady and also slowly going by the help of good food, good health, reading good books, good company.
Yeah.
So all these things are feeding that.
That's true. I feel that's true.
Yeah. And then that maybe at some point that comes, that is really becomes burning, like Ramana Maharshi. And then maybe you have to spend 23 years in a cave.
Okay, then I'll be...
Better be a good cook then.
Sorry?
Better be a good cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for someone else, it's not for you, the burning desire.
Yeah, that's to the exclusion of all else, and that's just I think, whoa, I was born. The world's a cool place. There are lots of things to explore, and conditions are really good.
Good
I mean,
about it,
I'm very grateful that the
Yeah.
conditions are so wonderful, and
grateful to life,
yeah. So that's good, like going on hikes and going swimming and things like that.
It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so it's not really separate from this question.
From the
It
life,
isn't, honestly
like,
it
yeah.
isn't, but it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of people engaging in the same activities, and it's a somewhat different story, so But you know, I hear a lot about, you know, these rishis who are in the cave all their lives, or you know, I'm just reading Adyashanti, and man, he sat on the cushion for years on end. That's not really my story, you know.
Yeah.
Like 3 months, that's really a long time for me. And so I hear you say it's a different path, and that the momentum is slowly growing by doing this.
Yes.
And that maybe one time that maybe like a booster rocket of burning
Yeah,
desire.
you know, certainly, you know, like when time comes, you know, like even you see in your life, you know, you would have left things behind, you know, some things
Oh yeah.
which you liked 10 years before.
Right.
Right now they are not being liked, you know. You don't give time to them anymore.
Yeah.
So of course, you know, now only good things, you know, are in your support. And you are,
That's strange.
Yeah.
It's true.
and you are giving time to those things, you know, to support you.
Right, I can see that.
Yeah.
So I'm not working as much, you know, I'm just so that.
Yeah. Certainly.
But it's really a very organic, slow process without. I have no, you know, no stories to wow people to tell from this practice. There's nothing to say, you know. And then out of a sudden, would you believe? And it was like, you know, a veil lifted, and I saw this never happens to me.
So maybe you can create some stories.
You like to write?
Yeah. You know, and I mean, really not.
Yeah, you know, like sometimes it's also fun
Yeah.
to say some stories,
To tell people.
to people, to tell people lies, you know.
Or to tell now. Then I'm at odds with my
But
imperative.
then you will hit yourself, you know,
Yeah.
hit yourself. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is why, you know, I'm not saying that, I'm just joking.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's good to be able to talk about this, you know, in this context. Because sometimes I feel like a fraud, you know, like you know, what am I doing, sort of thing. But it's true, when I look back, things have changed, things have dropped away, and there is more of a coming together of what's helpful or what's sustaining.
This God is sleeping business. When people sleep, apparently, our bodies are doing all kinds of things. They're repairing. God is not doing that.
God is not doing it.
Well, when people sleep, your body is repairing itself.
Like everything, you know.
It's doing
Body is really a full industry when you are actually.
But then sleep is also a stage.
Yes.
So is God going to wake up?
So far I haven't seen him waking up, so you know, maybe tomorrow he might, or she might.
Then will we all wake up? God wakes up?
Are there stages, do you think?
Stages of.
Well, I don't know, like stages of God, or I mean, you look at history. History is divided into stages.
Yeah, but you know, all that belongs to humanity, human realm. So of course, you know, in human realm there are stages.
What is there in God's realm?
You know, that's what I'm saying, you know, all of us have to think, to be able to have another sense to know that. So, you know, like maybe thousands years we try to have another sense, then some people could be born with the another sense, and then, but still they will not be able to use that sense. Slowly process will happen and then they will be able to use that sense, and then maybe we can wake God up.
And those poor people with that first sense will probably all think they're crazy anyway, and won't listen to them.
Crazy.
Well, the first people that have this sense, that will probably think they're crazy.
Yeah, a little bit, they will.
It'll be so
They have to
different.
go through that. Like even even now, like if you look, there will be like many people who cannot really use some of the senses fully. Like whatever we have. So I think it's like really very gradual growth of human.
There's so much, like if you think about how much capacity of our brains that we actually use.
Yeah, like but also there is capacity of brain which is unused, enormous capacity of
Yeah, worrying.
worrying, like we have but we are not using.
And so many people don't have access to things, that they could. Women can't hold jobs, they can't hold property, all these things.
Of course.
We're missing so much.
Yes, but also we are having so much.
Some of us.
Yeah, I think, like if we can breathe well, if we can eat well, I think if we can have good friends, that is good enough for really very wealthy life.
The injustice of some of these things, though, really bothers me personally.
Of course, yeah. But then who created that?
He's sleeping.
The sleeper is creating that, or we creating that?
Yeah.
So we have to look after our habits.
I just wanted to clear about which doubt you're referring to. So,
Any kind of doubt.
yeah, cause yeah, okay. Oh, I'm just, it's like the death. Like, prior to, that you were talking about, prior to, August, doubt. Okay. Okay. And then
I was wondering, there are I see that standards of what's right and what's wrong change over the.
Yeah, and also like different societies have
Yeah.
different,
Different
standards.
Very-
Like
Yeah.
also we are changing, like in the same society, standards of right and wrong,
Yeah.
they really changed a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in different societies, they are quite opposite
Yes, they
in
are.
many places. Yeah.
So there are like these 5 precepts in Buddhism. There are the 10 Commandments, I have two questions. One of them, are there absolute standards of good and evil? Are there absolute standards of good and evil?
For I actually like any standard created
Yeah.
is for a time, for a place,
Yeah.
for a society.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like any standard, like if I ask you, can you make something which is good for these 10 people, you will think about everyone and make something common.
Yeah. Yeah.
So any standard cannot be as good as God's standard.
So that the standards of good and evil change. They evolve, or they just change. So they're
Certainly,
different.
they are like like there will be a time, there will be certain space, and there will be people in that, and their ability. Also, like if you say, if you have to decide here for 10 people, and if I say, everybody should learn, flying aeroplanes, which will be like a hypothesis, probably, I don't know, maybe Evanji can do, but most of us will not be able to do.
So is that inherent?
Inherent.
In the human fiber, is there something that says this is wrong, this is good, this is wrong?
No, like because most of the view of society, view of society makes that wrong and right.
Okay, it's that. It's
Yeah.
really societal.
It is very much from the society. Like whatever is common is from the society.
All right. And does Advaita have any commandments or any? Doesn't it go there? It says, well,
No,
you're not
it
touching
doesn't. That they say it's social part.
the social part.
Yeah, it's like the activists should take care of that. Like we are really looking inward.
That's something completely different.
Yeah. So that's why there are no commandments, no precepts.
That's interesting.
So this, sometimes you'll come across a situation or something will be proposed to you and you know it's wrong, or you know it's right.
Yeah. Like because you are using your best ability to know that. But that you are speaking for yourself.
So, there are times when somebody proposes something to me that I know will hurt people. And I have this reaction. I know it's wrong. And you're saying that's societal, or that I know it's wrong because I can see that it'll hurt people, or it's not fair or something.
Yeah.
So that's societal. That's not me.
Yeah, that's because you are caring for people around you.
Yeah. But sometimes I hear things that are proposed that I think are flat out evil. And
And evil for whom?
because the consequences they'll have and their intention is, I know it will hurt people. So I just can't. It's hard for me to accept that that's just society's
Because also like say same consequences you can manage without being hurt. Like if you are wise enough, you can you yourself, like when you see that these things will not be good for people, so then you will have a way out for yourself.
Then in that circumstance, all I'm worried about is the way out for myself, not for other people.
Like when when you think for yourself, it's different. And when you think for many people, it's different.
I'm also have to figure it out. And there seems to be, even across the cultures, there seems to be something called the golden rule. That means
Right.
if, don't do to others what you know would hurt,
not
what
good for
you don't want others to do to you. So if,
Certainly.
if there's a crooked, say, she's on the staff of the municipality, and somebody says, I'll give you $100,000 if you let us build this freeway through this forest. And while she knows there are so many people in her town that would really want that forest to remain intact because they want to walk there with their kids on Sunday. So she says, well, I wouldn't want that done to myself. I say no to that drive.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple rule, difficult to apply. I
Yeah.
understand, because often it's a fuzzy grey area.
Yeah.
But isn't that something, I'm grasping for something to hold on to morally, Isn't that something that is unwavering, that just stand there that you can't knock? I mean, is that...
Yeah, certainly, but then, there might be someone very greedy.
Yeah.
That for that greedy person, to think about people will not be possible.
Yeah, okay, so you mean, I'm like really, really greedy, I would like those $100,000, so, what's wrong with taking them?
Because there will be logic pro, he will have logic pro to himself.
Oh, okay, alright.
So he won't have the capacity to see evil because he'll first be thinking, well, this is good for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
the
what
thing.
could be
Like
wrong here?
there are so many things in human. If greed is dominant, you really put a black cloth around your eyes.
Oh.
Well, that would explain a few things I've seen, because it just seems with that kind of greed for power or greed for money, it doesn't matter how many logical explanations you give, how much breakdown,
It doesn't mean anything. Like
Yeah.
like in the history you see the emperors.
Yeah.
They have been killing so many people
Mm.
to find some state. So from your heart that will be really, really not good.
Yeah.
But from the heart of greed, they really manage to live happily, even killing, thousands of people.
Okay.
Even like in modern situation,
Oh, yeah. Happens a lot.
even people kill themselves to be killed together, kind of, Like even it can go to that extent. We see, like,
terrorists.
yeah, terrorists, They, so that human has capacity, like enormous range from earth to sky.
So, what are we supposed to do?
We can only be what we be. Like it's like if even whole world tries to make understand these terrorists, I don't think that they are going to listen.
There are some people who think, though, that we can reach the terrorists 5 years before they become terrorists.
Yeah, it's possible, but if we can. Like, generally, like so far, having so much facilities, all the governments are able to reach them. After 5 years, they have been terrorists. Like so far, with so many enormous facilities we have.
Yeah. Alright. So, of course, this begs the question: is there not like a moral scale where you say this is really evil, or is this all, or is it all like, well, this happens?
No, because it's certainly, there is, but then if I accept your moral,
Also, only if you accept my
if I don't accept, then what will you do?
Oh God, I'll be really mad.
So then it's almost like we have to begin with some kind of contract as a human being.
Yeah.
To start with a contract, to say, oh yeah, remember that? Remember at the beginning you signed on for this.
What do you mean that? I don't get it.
It's like all the time in business we have contracts.
Oh yeah.
So we begin with a contract.
Okay.
And if things go wrong,
Okay.
there's a clause in the contract. In the case of this happens. In the
Okay.
case of that
Yeah,
happens. Or the
certainly.
law.
Even then, like, even in the law, we break contracts.
Yeah.
Like even the big companies,
Oh yeah, they take them all.
Yeah.
knowing the law, we break.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But then the thing, it's more like then what happens is then people decide, okay, the breaking of this contract will become known. And then when it's known, how will we look?
Shame.
Yeah, certainly, but all those things are there, We already created law, we already created everything. And we thought that, this way it will be fine. But still, like, as human, we have enormous abilities, We break the law without being acknowledged. Like, we are really so good.
Right. But with a golden rule, to get to a more basic example, torture. You don't want to be tortured, so don't torture somebody else.
That is, but then if you can see that, because what happens, I don't see my torture. Like, I don't see that if I am tortured, how I will feel.
You can. Oh.
Because it's greed again.
Then that's how I can torture others, Otherwise, how?
Because they can't.
Yeah, they can't recognize,
So I think you are operating from a perspective of acceptance, and I'm operating from, well, let's fix this.
Yeah, I'm also with you, I'm really behind you. And because the topic is here, so really, because we really want some solution. I really want some solution. And so far I have not been able to. So I'm just really questioning against you, kind of, so that you can come with really some real solution.
Well, it's in more and more reassuring and wonderful it is that we have courts of law, just who say, okay, these are our standards, of this society, because otherwise that would just be a free for all.
Yeah, but I have been I worked enough in
Yeah.
courts,
Yeah,
so I know.
I know how. Sorry. Oh.
But it is a greed thing, because where I
Yeah.
live, I never really knew judges before.
Yeah.
But where I live, I have met 4 Superior Court judges
Mhm.
in where I live. And one of them tried to do something while he was president of our thing
Mhm.
that broke the law. And not only that, when I looked it up, he, in his job, wrote the exact opposite decision. And he's famous for it. So in his own home, or in our own place, he was willing to do. And so then I thought, my God, what is the justice system?
Yeah.
If these men,
Yeah, like what I'm saying, from large, from punishment, like somehow, like human can only be established in humanity by really having ability to feel.
Empathy, you feel what.
Yeah.
so is it a good, sorry,
Yeah.
is it a good idea to appeal to people's empathy?
To appeal.
Can that change things, to appeal to people's empathy?
It's really good thing, like I'm asking you to come with some solution for, all these problems which you are facing, I'm also facing. So I'm really asking you to come with some.
Well, I think that what I've observed, I don't know, with this particular judge, when he made that decision, I called someone else I knew who was had an incredible reputation. And I said, here's what's happening. Can you write a letter to everyone? And then he killed it. It was done. And then it was done. Because then everybody knew.
Yeah.
And because the speaker was a very established person. I knew if I wrote that letter and I pointed out the law, it wouldn't be so helpful. But I knew this man, and he was fearless. So he did it, and it was good. It was done.
It had effect.
Shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, so then,
It stopped. However, this man goes on and does other things, and I'm telling you, he is just, if he were ever in power again, I'm in big trouble. Because he's written me letters, the hate is unbelievable. He is absolutely not interested in rational discourse. And has basically said, how dare you, kind of things to me.
how dare you can do this?
How can I not?
Yeah, certainly, but in his opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Can be, yes.
I think one can say, if one is genuinely on a spiritual path, as you have said, there must be it generates amongst other things, a sort of a feeling of love. And there's one man said, I think it doesn't really matter, but if you want to follow a path, follow a teacher, you have to see if there's love there. And if there is love, then one will not try to do evil intentionally.
Certainly.
For example, one would not torture, one would not torture small children, one would not do all the millions of horrible things we can think happen. If one is genuinely on the spiritual path, one would not support any of that. So I think there is a kind of a universality of values. You ask what is good and what is bad. I think in some sense there is a development in consciousness. I don't mean just in the sense of getting cleverer and cleverer, you know, in the orthodox way, but somehow be able to go sort of deeper and deeper. You don't even necessarily have to think of yourself as a spiritual person. I'm sure a lot of people do this. Never think that they're spiritual. They might be atheists, like me. They might be anything. But well, I said I'm an atheist. It depends what you mean by that. But no, what was I saying? Yeah. For example, love and wanting to share. I mean, I think that is also, you know, because
certainly.
and wanting others to do to you as you would do unto them. This kind of thing. They are sort of there's a sort of a universality in this, I feel. And so that gives a kind of a sort of a stolper, what's that called in English? Like a pillar, as it were.
Yeah, certainly. But then, you know, that has to be, you know, like that we really have to try to grow the love in people.
Yeah, but it does.
Yeah, you know, certainly.
It can develop
if
in
love
many
is
people
there,
without.
if love is there, then certainly, you know, all these things are difficult.
Yeah, and we can see that the reason why in many cases there is not love, not empathy, you said appeal to empathy. Many people don't have any empathy, so there's nothing to appeal to. I mean, try talking to a psychopath, you know, and they don't have any empathy. And if one's able to look inside their brains are different.
Yeah, certainly, you know.
So love actually develops in the very, very, very early mother-child relationship. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And if that is not sort of, as it were, good ground, then it becomes difficult. And end of speech.
Certainly.
I have a question. There's this like project happening in North America. I have a friend who does it. I think it's called like the empathy. It's got empathy in the title, and they take babies for like the first year of the baby's life, and maybe not right, like maybe after 6 months, I'm not sure, but and they bring the baby into schools, and the children develop a relationship with this baby, like in some capacity, to help them to cultivate more empathy. And do you think that this, like, is going to help in some capacity to do that, or is it like? Because
it's how it is done, you know.
Yeah, I'm not
That
entirely
is like,
sure.
you know, if it is done from the feeling,
Yeah.
certainly it
Yeah.
will.
Synthesizer machine.
What's that?
Synthesizer machine.
What kind of machine? Oh, okay. Yeah, I
You know,
wonder
like
how it's done.
when
I'm not
it-
entirely sure.
When
how
it
it's
is done through the mind,
Yeah,
it's
Then
very
it's-
difficult.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Because I think one of the disservices of the way we live in the West is that growing up, like as children or getting older, you're not all living like in India all together, where that empathy can more generate, because you're taking care of your little cousin, you're taking,
You know,
and
like
it's
the family, you know.
the family, you
and
don't
then-
have that family.
Then you need to do only extension.
They-
Like
yeah.
you know, like when you have love for your family, then what you need to do, extension of your love.
Yeah,
And when you don't have love for anyone, then it's very difficult, you know. Like first really you have to grow love, and then it can be extended to, you know, to nowhere, you know, to no end.
And when you're loved by so many, like as a
Of course,
baby,
you know,
child.
like it is not like one way thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like very cooperative, you know. You love and you are loved. And that's how, you know.
I find this really tragedy in the West.
Yeah, because, you know,
Also,
I was in Israel and then like at some point, you know, they have like in one of the villages, like as soon as baby is born, there will be a room for all the babies and they will not see their mother and, you know, and like I talked to few of these people who really have been raised that way
Yeah.
and they really felt so bad about it.
Like on a kibbutz.
Huh?
On a kibbutz.
Kibbutz, yeah.
They didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work, you know, now finally they stopped, but they thought that it will work. And they were really kind of, you know, really very dry within and feeling that and really feeling very bad that that has been done to them.
babies.
Because only a mother or a permanent, a genuine mother, a substitute, but is there all the time. Only a mother, not a father even, only a
Not
mother.
a father even.
Not even a father. In the beginning, only a mother and a little child and a newborn baby can develop a relationship that enables this little baby to really feel this love. And it takes time. It takes at least one year, and then the father can be more and more active and coming, but the mother still has to be there. And that's just our biology. And we can't change it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why the idea of sending little children to a kindergarten, a day nursery, whatever you like to call it, when they're only 1 year old, they can't walk, they can't talk, they can, you're sending them off to be looked by somebody else. No matter how much love and how good somebody working in a child nursery is, they can never replace a good enough mother. Mother doesn't have to be perfect, but she has to be good enough.
We have set time like 5 years.
Sorry?
Like Indian, time is 5 years. And I didn't send my kid for school like till 5 years, and everybody was like, what he's doing. But he picked the language in like next 2 months. Like what he could have studied by going to school at 2 years and then again 3 years there. So 5 years no studies, and within 2 months he picked up things.
There's also a woman that I work with in Toronto who has a kind of thing that says that between, the first 5 years of life is when damage happens that it's hard to undo. But this idea, I thought there had to be one person. I didn't know it had to be a mother, but when that happens, what can a woman do in life if 5 years has to be, the first 5 years has to be spent with a child? You know what the biggest indicator of bankruptcy for a woman in North America is having a child. Our societies are not set up.
Yeah, they are not set up for the children,
But the
Yeah.
child does not have to be with the mother. The child can be quite happy not being with the mother all the time. After the first about year has gone, and then after that they can tolerate little longer breaks. But roughly speaking, the first 2 years, the mother, the first year all the time, the next year a lot of the time, and then the father's also coming in playing a stronger and stronger role. So by the time the little child is about 3 years, they can then happily, in fact, they can gain a lot of advantage for being in a nursery in the West, because we don't have this in the Indian culture, where the
Right.
children are together and the parents and everybody looking after each other.
Grandfather,
We have a different culture, and then the very necessary interaction with other children as they're getting older, from 2.5, 3 upwards, well, even from younger than that, that is very then it can be very good for them to be in a good day nursery. And when they're smaller than that, say smaller than 3 years, it's very advantageous for them to be with other children as well and learning, but with the mother or the father available. So like a nursery or a place where they can come together, one of the parents is there and is always available. So that is what we need.
I don't doubt that what you're saying is correct, it's just that it is so really, you'd have to be fabulously wealthy to accomplish this in the West.
That's a social, political
Yeah.
question.
I don't know if you have to be, I think you have to compromise.
No, like so
You
much
have to
preparation
compromise,
of
you know.
living is there that
You can't have it.
life is, we are losing life.
So much.
Like preparation for living is so big that we are losing life. The preparation itself.
But when I think of the women who, I have another friend who runs an organization called the Older Women's Network. And of course it has to do with the time and place that we're in. But women who stayed at home, their husbands divorced them, they have it all depends on who's the best lawyer. They end up living in poverty. It's like a big chunk of people. So it's true, there's social and political questions, but first there are spiritual questions in many ways. How can you divide them?
And greed also, because if the husband is not greedy and he
Yeah.
can respect his wife for being the mother of his kids, then he's not gonna live in poverty.
Yeah.
Just
Y-
at
ex-
least that.
Yeah,
That's a combination.
that's a big combination to pull off from what I've seen.
Phew.
But you said something like that a few days ago, 2-3 days ago. Someone who is trying to fix the world cannot be happy or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now change the law,
yeah, change the world.
Yeah.
but you can try.
Yeah, always. That's another thing.
We
As
have
long-
to
as long as
try.
We have to try,
Yeah.
but don't expect it to.
Or
Because
don't-
whatever is result of somebody who tried. So both forces are working. Like you are saying about reducing the greed, but in a television, newspaper, every advertisement is about increasing your greed.
Bye.
Like the whole society is pro to that.
Pro to that. So somehow it will be making the effect less. So there is nothing bad in trying. And world is the result of both the forces. The forces which are trying to increase the greed and forces which are trying to make it less. But difference between an activist is that he expects it to come to a halt. And somebody, I will try my best, make some change, but not fix it.
But you're saying an activist will necessarily.
He will be like, change it like, I have to fix it, kind of.
Well, that's not.
You know?
That depends on the activist.
Yeah.
But I'm an activist. But my attitude is, well,
Yeah.
I do what I think is right. I'm talking politically. We do our best and see what happens. And,
Yeah.
and probably nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But at least you can try.
Yeah. Yes, so
So this, yeah.
yeah, this kind of activity.
And I believe that you
No,
told
no.
me, Ajay, sometimes, and these words of wisdom aren't mine, they're in fact Krishna's. You do what you have to do and don't get too dependent on the result.
Yeah.
Didn't he say something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Most
So you're
famous
best to
statement
renounce
of his.
results.
Most,
That is his most famous statement.
yeah.
Do your duty, not expect for results.
But we have to have more love. The world has to have more love for things to get better.
Love is
Is that
Not
right?
not the word. I have to have more,
Yeah.
because like when I say word has to have more love, that means
I
don't
hate the
have to-
word for not having love, and then you see those morons, they don't have love. Kind of. You see,
I am a neighbor like that.
these morons, they don't have love. You see? So,
Maybe we can take off here.
Thank you.